everyone! My name is Lite, and welcome back to the Hopelessly Bedrock SMP. Alright, so we have a lot to do on our plate today, folks. We have a lot to do. Alright, now first things first, at the end of the last episode, because we worked so hard, we treated ourselves to a new set of armor. Now, in between that episode and this one, I've actually taken the time to go ahead and enchant that. So if you allow me a moment, I'll go ahead and we'll get dressed. All right, there we go. Much better, folks. Much better. Excellent, excellent. All right, now before we actually get started into our work today, we do have one more thing we're going to do regarding some netherite. So as you can see here, I have a fair amount of diamond tools on me. Well, the first thing we're going to do in this episode is we're going to turn all these tools into netherite tools. And this way, moving forward, our job should become just a little bit easier. Alright, so let's go over here to the smithing table. Right. So here's our ingots. Oh, wrong slot. Put them there. Alright, shovel. And a sword. Axe. That's the fortune pickaxe. Oh, there's our hoe. Our other sword. And our silk touch pickaxe. Perfect, perfect. Much better, folks. Much better. All right. Now, I also got one other thing between last episode and this episode, and that is a second cat. Well, in real life, I actually have two cats. One is a black cat, his name is Puppy, and the other cat I have is actually gray and white, just like this fella, and her name is Willow. So if you allow me a moment, we'll grab ourselves a name tag here, and we're actually going to name this cat as well, before we get on to the rest of our day. All right. So again, we're going to rename the cat Willow. So that's Willlow. Perfect. Oh, and I don't think I did that right, did I? Nope. All right, just a sec. Perfect. There we go, folks. We have our name tag. And now we can go and officially give this cat a name. Ta-da! So there we go, folks. Puppy and Willow. So again, I do have two cats in real life, and Puppy and Willow are their names. All right. Well, that was excellent. Excellent. All right, folks. So for our first piece of business today, we're actually going to continue on with the work inside the base, and we're going to actually fill the rest of these two areas. I think above these bone meal farms, we're actually going to put a pumpkin and melon farm on each side. All right, so that being said, I'll go ahead, I'll gather the materials for that, and I'll meet back with you guys in a few moments. All right, welcome back, everyone. All right, so I have the materials on hand, so we can go ahead and do the pumpkin and melon farms. But before we get to that, if you've been following along in my tutorial series, the last one I put out was actually a bone meal powered sugarcane farm. All right, now it was different than this farm that we have right here. So I think the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to fix this farm here because the one I put out in the tutorial is actually better than this version of the farm. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, I'll get this one fixed up, and we'll be right back. All right, folks, we are back, and the modifications are done. So if we take a look in the back, we can see that we now have the hopper clock, which powers the comparator, of course, which drives the bone meal coming out of the dispenser. The one thing we did have to do differently was how we routed the redstone into the observer, and the reason for that is because I wanted to keep the sea lanterns where they are. They're actually going to play a key role in the pumpkin and melon farms that we put up above. We're going to make them part of the floor, and in turn, they are going to help keep our farmland stay farmland. Because as we all know, if farmland gets too dark, it will revert back into dirt. So we're going to use the sea lanterns to our advantage to help with that. Now over on this side, we do not have any lighting yet, so I'll probably put some shroom lights or something to this effect up here because I do have a bunch of those. All right. Now, the way that the pumpkin and melon farms are going to work is we're going to have our floor. On the floor will be a rail track, of course, with a hopper minecart going around and around. Up above that will be all our farmland, which will contain, of course, our pumpkins and melons. And every time one grows, it will get seen by the observers, which will be up here. And then, of course, that will power the pistons, which will pop them off and put them in item form so they can be collected by the hopper minecart. All right, so again, we're going to build one over here, and we're going to build one over here. The reason I'm doing two is because at this size, they're not that big. So if we were to only do one, we really wouldn't get a ton from it. So I think with having two, we'll be able to get decent rates and get some decent amount of goods for our trading. Got to have those emeralds, you know? All right, so I'm going to go ahead, folks. I'll build those two farms up, and when all's said and done, I'll be back. Hey folks, so before we get to building the pumpkin and melon farms, I do actually have one thing that I wanted to show you guys. So in between episodes, there was a build that I did because it was a need that I had that I just had to satisfy. So if you allow me a moment, we'll go up this hallway, we'll get into this room, and we'll see what we got. All right, so in here, folks, we have the iron farm. So yes, in between these episodes, I have gone ahead and I've built up the iron farm, and it has been running rather fantastically. So if we take a look in the chest, we can see that we have many iron. So let's just say that is enough for a lot of hoppers and will allow us to do some very big projects. So I'm very happy that we got this on the go, and you never know, if all goes well, we might even set up a little shop for this stuff. We'll see, you know, as time goes on. But anywho, enough of the iron farm. Let's get back up and build those pumpkin and melon farms. See you in a bit. All right, and our final step for completing these pumpkin and melon farms will be to put the hopper minecart up in here. So to do that, we are going to have to pillar up. And I think we'll put some dirt across here so we can go back and forth just to make our job a little easier. All right, so our hopper minecart is going to go right here. So we'll just put the hopper minecart there and that should start going. All right, perfect. Now, of course, we're also going to need some additional lighting. We're going to try to match what we did on the other side. So that should be one there, one there. We'll also need some glass. And again, I think we'll pillar up one more right here. So we'll want a piece of glass there, there, and there. We are going to want one more shroom light right there, another one right there, piece of glass all in between. And then finally, to finish things off, one more row of glass right here. All right, I think we're done. So now we'll go ahead, we'll break this dirt, we'll get down, we'll take a look. All right, not bad, not bad. But there we have it, folks. 2 brand new pumpkin and melon farms. And they actually fit extremely well, so we've used this entire space extremely efficiently. I'm very happy with this, very happy. Now, while I was at it, I also replaced the sidewalls on each one of these. So all 4 sidewalls have also been replaced. So again, this one on that one, and this one on this side. And it would be the same thing for over here. All right, so excellent. Very happy with that. All right, so that is a job well done. Now for our next task, we are going to go ahead and we're going to move the bee farm. So we are going to have to find a good location. And again, I'm going to need to gather some supplies, so I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you guys over at the bee farm when it's dark, so we can actually harvest the nests. All right, folks, we are over here at the bee pen, just waiting for nighttime to hit. As we can see, the last of the bees are just doing their thing and waiting to make their way back into the hives. Now, once this bee goes in, if all goes well, we should be able to relight these campfires using the flint and steel I have in my hand. And then once we have that done, I actually have some empty bottles, so we can harvest the hives before we take them down. Yes, that's right. We are going to be using Silk Touch to take down these hives and nests with the bees inside, so we can move them to the new location. Now, once we have that done, I'm going to switch it back to get us back to daytime, so then that way we can take down the rest of the bee cage. All right, come on, Mr. Bee, make up your mind here. Please? Alright, so sometimes it can take a little while for the last bee to make his way in, but usually he gets in there. There we go. Perfect. Alright, so now with all the bees inside, we should be able to relight the campfires. Just like that. Now that we have our campfires lit, we should be able to harvest all the hives. Just like that. Perfect, perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead. We are going to take out the campfires. We'll use our Silk Touch pick to do that, and we should be able to get the campfire without it breaking down. Perfect, just like that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. We'll get all these picked up. The campfires, unfortunately, do take a little bit of time. I'm not really using the ideal tool. I don't have my axe on me. I left that back at the base. However, we can still get the job done. Alright, and like I say, I am going to leave it night until we get this portion of the job done, because otherwise the bees will come out of the hive, and they certainly won't like it if I take it down while they're outside. As we know, the bees will get angry and they'll try to sting me, and unfortunately, once they sting you, they die. Alright, one more. Perfect, perfect. That is all the hives. So we'll go ahead, we'll make it day. Excellent, excellent. Now all the flowers, I'm not going to bother with these. I actually already have flowers at our next location. So like I say, I'm going to go ahead, I will tear down the rest of this bee cage, and when that's all said and done, I'll meet you guys at the next spot. Welcome back, everyone. All right, I have finished taking down the original bee cage. We have all those supplies put away, and we are on our way to the new location. Now, I do think this will be a much better spot. It is a fair distance away from both of our bases, so the bees should no longer be causing any lag for being active while we're there working. Now, if we come here and we come up on top of this little plane, we can see two chests at the top. This is actually the materials for the build, and this is the spot where I think we're going to put the farm. I really like this location, and again, I think it's just far enough away from both of our places, but yet close enough to be easily accessed. All right, now we are going to build the farm about 6 or 7 blocks up in the air. And the reason that we're going to do that is because of the decoration that we're going to put around the farm. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll build up pretty much all of the bee farm. We'll come back, we'll take a look at that, and then we'll move on to the decoration. So hang on, and I'll be right back. All right, we are back, folks. And as you can see, I have reconstructed the bee farm, and it is already working, and it's actually working quite well. So if we look in the chest down here, we already have 9 bottles of honey, which is fantastic. Now if we jump up top here, I'll give you a better view of how the farm actually works. Okay, so what happens is when the bees come out, they pollinate the flowers. That takes about 30 seconds. Then they go back into the hive and or nest, depending on what you have. Now every time they go back in, they add to the pollen level of the hive or nest. And to figure out what that is, we can actually use a comparator. Now when we get to a level of 5, the hive is then ready to harvest, which is where we get the bottles of honey from. So underneath these blocks here, if I scroll out a little bit here, there is a row of comparators taking a reading from this block. So as the hive fills up, these pieces of redstone will light up on their own. There's actually 5 pieces that lead to each of these blocks. And then once we hit 5, these blocks will power, activating the dispensers, harvesting the honey. All right, so we went from having a non-automatic harvest area to a completely automatic harvest area. All right, now the next step, of course, in this process is to put the rest of the decoration on this farm, which I think you're going to really enjoy. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get that done, and I'll meet you guys back here when it's all done. Welcome back, everyone. I have the decoration complete, and I must say I am very happy with how this has turned out, and I think you'll be quite happy too. Alright, but with no further ado, ta-da! We now have a big bee. I figure since we were putting up a honey farm, what better decoration than a giant bee? Alright, now in order to access the chest so we can actually get the bottles of honey, we can open this trap door and there's our chest. So if we open it up, as we can see, the farm has been very active. We already have 4 stacks plus 1. Not bad, not bad at all. Now, if we ever need to get inside the farm to replace the bottles, there's actually a couple blocks up here in the face that you can take out, which will lead to a door, and that will let you into the bee area, giving you access to the dispensers. Now, we're going to have to pillar up in order to get up there, but that's okay, since we'll only have to do that every so often. Alright, so again, I'm very happy with how this turned out. I think it's super cute. Love it. Alright, so next on our agenda, folks, we do have some more upgrades that we're going to go do at the base. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll get us over there, and I'll meet back up with you guys in just a few. Welcome back, everyone. Alright, we are almost back to the base, and we can begin on our next round of upgrades. Alright, so for the last few upgrades, we've been working inside, so I think it's time that we actually take the work outside. Ooh, look at that. See that? Creeper popping up out of that hole? Alright, well, let's take him down. Ah, excellent. Any gunpowder? Yes. Excellent. Many gunpowder. Perfect. Alright, so before we were rudely interrupted by that creeper, like I was saying, I think our next round of upgrades is actually going to take place out here, starting with a walkway leading up to the door. Now, I've already punched out a couple holes up here where I think is going to be the end of the walkway and another gate to get inside, but we'll get to that eventually. Alright, so I already have the supplies on hand. We are going to have to do a bit of digging. So I'm going to go ahead, I'll get that digging done, we'll get it all laid out, and I'll bring you guys back in so we can take a look. See you then. Welcome back, folks. And as you can see, the walkway is done. Not only did I do the entire walkway, I actually added in these. So there are 10 of these separate modules. And what might these be for, do you ask? Well, when nighttime comes, if I do plan on turning this into a big courtyard, it's going to get pretty dark out here unless we have some light. And that's actually where these modules come into effect. Now, the next phase in this upgrade, of course, will be to add in the redstone circuitry to make all these guys go. So I'm going to go ahead, I will get that done, and when it's nighttime, I'll bring you guys back in so you can see this in action. I think you're really going to like it. Hang on, I'll be back in a bit. Hey everyone, welcome back. Now, it may not look like it, But I promise the redstone has indeed been completed, and I'm very happy with the results. Look how clean it is. You can't see a single piece of the redstone. The only real thing you can see is the observers in the back of the pods. But you know, I find they kind of work themselves into the build, especially at night. You really don't even see those. Alright, so to give you guys an idea of what I have going on, if we come over here and we look down in this hole, we can see that we have a daylight sensor. Alright, now daylight sensors in Minecraft are very cool. They have two modes. There's either daytime or nighttime. So you can select which one that you need, and you'll only get an output whenever the current mode is hit. So in our case, like I say, I do have it set to nighttime. So when it gets dark enough, the sensor will give us an output which will activate these two rows of pods. Now, what's going to happen is they'll light up and it will be 2 by 2 all the way down the row. It's really, really neat. And when we get to nighttime, I'll give you guys a demonstration of that kicking in. Now, if anybody is even more curious about how I build this and would like a look and see how the redstone actually looks, just let me know and I would be more than happy to do a tutorial for you guys. You know, I think that's something that would be really fun because it is something I think everybody could use in their world, you know, especially for your outside areas. I do plan on turning this area into more of a courtyard, so having this additional lighting out here will really help if I want to do some work out here during the nighttime. All right. So the sun is just about set. We do have a little bit longer to go. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll wait till nighttime and then I'll bring you guys back when we're ready to kick off. Welcome back, everyone. All right, we are very, very close to the system kicking off. So I'm just going to stick around here to make sure that we can see everything happen in one shot. Just like that. All right, so as you saw, the pods lit up in groups of 2 all the way down the line. Now, for the reverse, when we get back to a certain level of daytime, all the pods will turn themselves off in exactly the same fashion. All right. Again, I'm very happy with how this build turned out, and I'm going to really enjoy having this light outside whenever we want to go around at nighttime. All right. But that being said, that is all I have time for today. Once again, my name is Lite, and thanks for stopping by. Bye!